Let's get to the business news now with Nicholas Poynton, who is in our Wellington studio today. Nicholas, so shoppers, you say, have been spending up large over the past 3 months. What are they spending their money on?
Yeah, we got some backwards-looking data from Stats NZ today. This is the consumer spending data for the 3 months to September. And we always knew there was going to be a huge rebound in spending over this quarter, but the question was, how big would that bounce be? And the data shows that retail sales volumes, they rose by a third over the period. That's an 8% increase on the same quarter a year ago. And it's also, it stands in stark contrast to the 14% drop we saw in consumer sales volumes over the June quarter. And what you're really seeing there is the effect of loosening restrictions as we came out of lockdown, and also that pent-up demand. Put that together and we've seen this huge boost in consumer spending. But the data also gives us a bit of a heads up on what New Zealanders were spending their money on. And I wonder, Lisa, if you were among those New Zealanders out there who had a huge appetite for cars, appliances, electronics, DIY products, or groceries.
Groceries.
Yeah, I know, it's a bit boring really, but I guess we are sort of eating out less and buying more for home. But look, however, there were significant falls in sales of fuel, hospitality and accommodation, which shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. But the all-important question is will this spending continue into the future? And the senior economist for the Westpac Bank, Satish Ranchod, says he's optimistic that spending will hold up into next year. He points to a strong housing market and better than expected unemployment results as a reason why people might feel empowered to continue to spend more.
Okay, the other thing you've been looking at is these audits of businesses that claimed wage subsidies recently. And this is a story that our listeners are really interested in. So what have you found out?
Yeah, a while back, look, I've just been wanting to find out how many audits MSD has actually done of those people who've received money from the wage subsidy scheme. And we know that MSD, they have a team of about 100 fraud staff looking at this, and they've done about 10,500 audits of the 759,000 applicants who received money from that $14 billion scheme. So documents released to RNZ under the Official Information Act show that of these audits, just under 1,000 have been required to make a partial or full repayment of the money that they received. So far, about 577 businesses have made repayments. That's about $19 million worth, and that's compared with the $510 million that's been paid back on a voluntary basis, that is, from about 17,000 businesses. And the ministry says that in the vast majority of cases, employers, they have followed the scheme's criteria. Separate to those audits, though, MSD has also been working through complaints about abuse of the scheme, and they've also conducted about 300 investigations, which has seen them identify about several hundred businesses that also need to make a payment, partial or full. So according to the ministry, where money was wrongly claimed, they say it was very rarely out of a desire to deceive or defraud the scheme. Rather, for the most part, it was just businesses that didn't properly understand the rules properly. And so, all in all, you could probably say that most businesses have adhered to the spirit of the scheme. Remember, it did operate on this high trust model. But look, this is just 10,500 audits of a scheme where 759,000 applicants. So it'll be interesting to know how many more audits MSD actually plans to do, and that's something I plan to look at later this week, and hopefully I'll have an answer for you.
Okay, what else has been going on the markets today?
Well, the NZX is up 0.5%, or about 60 points, to 12,501. Our dollar is at 69.5 US cents, 95 Australian, 52.2 British pence. And because I mentioned Bitcoin on Friday, Bitcoin is actually down by 0.75%. A single Bitcoin will net you 26,500 New Zealand dollars.
Thanks, Nicholas. Nicholas Poynton with our business news.